Barry Zito began his career with the Giants in 2007 as the Giants' opening day starter. However, throughout the next few years, both Zito and the team struggled. And when the Giants finally found success in 2010, Zito was left off the postseason roster. But during last year's World Series run, the lefty wrote himself into the Giants' history books. The comeback against the Cardinals, the sweep of the Tigers, it all started with Zito. Barry Zito's career at the Giants has come full circle, and tonight he gets the ball one more time, and it's coming up next.
We are coming to you from AT&T Park at the corner of 3rd and King as we get ready for Giants baseball. Giants-Dodgers game 2 of this 3-game series. Hi again, everybody. I'm Dwayne Kuiper. Alongside me is Mike Krukow. A nice start last night for Matt Cain. However, he did take the loss. And tonight, it's not Madison Bumgarner. It's another lefty. It's Barry Zito in his last home start in a Giants uniform. And I'm looking forward to this.
Well, I think we all are. 7 years he's worn that Giants uniform. He's won 62 games in a Giants uniform. But we'll always remember him for what he did last year in St. Louis when he stood tall and turned back the red tide, enabling the Giants to win that divisional series. And then, of course, the start he had against Justin Verlander in Game 1 of the World Series. A lot of great moments from Zito's career here as a Giant. And tonight, perhaps the last time he'll take the mound in a Giants uniform. And we all wish him the best.
Yep, and he will receive a huge ovation, that's for sure. Mike just talked about Zito and what he did in postseason last year against the Cardinals. He talked about it. And when we come back, Amy G's going to talk about it. And she'll do that right after this.
big at a participating Jack in the Box with Jack's really big chicken sandwich combos for only $3.99 plus tax. And by Toyota. Do the math and save at your local Toyota dealer.
Your San Francisco Giants dropped a tough one last night, and this evening they look for a bounce-back win against the Dodgers, and they're going to try and do that with veteran Barry Zito on the mound. Welcome back to AT&T Park. I'm Amy Gutierrez, and Barry Zito could tonight be making his last start as a San Francisco Giant, and everyone knows he was a vital part of this team's story last season. 6 elimination wins, but there's one that stands out. It's our AT&T U-verse Rewind this evening, Game 5 of the NLCS back in St. Louis. Barry Zito's on the hill in perhaps what was his greatest start for the Orange and Black. He came through big time, going 7 2/3 innings. He allowed just 6 hits, 1 walk, 6 punch-outs, and most importantly, he allowed no runs. Barry Zito shared his thoughts with us about that game.
I wanted to go out there and, win or lose, I wanted to just give everything I had on every pitch, not let one pitch slip by without my full focus and commitment. It was the right time, and it was a really special day because, the boys came out hacking right from the first inning and putting the pressure on Lance Lynn, and, we were able to hold up our side on the defense.
And who could forget Barry Zito doing a little hacking of his own with an RBI bunt single to cap off a 4-run rally in the 4th inning of that game. Barry Zito, he is a class act. All right, Game 2 of this 3-game series against the Dodgers coming up shortly. Kruk and Kuip are going to be back with first pitch and lineups. But first, we're going to check in with our Comcast Sportsnet studios for an update right after the break.
All right, let's take a look at the Dodgers lineup, and it's brought to you by Coors Light. It'll be Puig, Crawford, and Kemp, and Kemp's got very large numbers against Zito. Followed by Young, Ellis. Hairston will hit 6th. Schumacher in the 7th slot, then it's Punto and Nolasco.
On the hill tonight for the Giants, the 2002 American League Cy Young Award winner, 3-time All-Star Barry Zito, making his 25th start of the season. And let's take a look at his numbers this year. 4-11 with a 5.91 ERA, 84 strikeouts against 54 walks. Against Zito, when you take your at bat, you're going to see a mid-80s fastball that he will cut. Big curveball, a slider, a changeup. You'll see him use the inside corner of the right-hand hitters a lot. Really, the only pitch that he'll go away with movement away, is that changeup. Zito, a lifetime against the Dodgers, 9-10 with a 3.65 ERA. Let's take a look at the defense playing behind Zito tonight for the Giants. Starting in the outfield from left to right, it'll be Blanco, Pagan, and Pence. Crawford and Sandoval on the left side of the infield. Abreu and Belt on the right side. And Buster Posey will be in the squad, putting down the signs.
Our game time weather is presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is open this weekend. 58 degrees here at the Yard. We got winds at 12 miles per hour. 60% is the humidity, and it is going to be a breezy and a cool night here at the Yard. So, some say that this young man changed the Dodgers this year. In a lot of ways he did. And that's Yasiel Puig. So Puig will stand in. He's hitting at .326, 19 home runs, 42 driven in. He has never faced Barry Zito. And he will lead things off. As Zito looks in, and the first pitch of the ball game is on its way. And Puig shows bunt. And the pitch is high. First pitch at 7:15.
Take a look at what the Dodgers did before Puig. They were 23-32 with a 3.93 ERA. They hit .256. They averaged 3.5 runs a game. When he signed on, 68-34. And look at the staff ERA. 2.93, hit .269, and a run more per game.
Hit his 19th home run last night off of Matt Cain. A towering blast out into deep right center field. There's a floppy breaking ball, 2 balls and 1 strike. He hit it right around the area that Barry Bonds hit .756. Crawford to follow. And this is chopped to Sandoval, who charges and throws. And this game gets started on a ground ball to third.
Watch the motion from Barry Zito. It's brought to you by our Exmo. Our Exmo brought to you by our local Toyota dealer. The big high classic leg kick. Centers down, now starts to drive. That front foot plants. He's in a good position. And a high 3/4 release gives you that great tilt on that curveball that has been his signature pitch since he's got to the big leagues. And he gets lots of ground balls, as we just saw from Yasiel Puig.
So here's Crawford. Crawford skies one to shallow right field. Pence is going to slow down and make the catch. Zito had Crawford way out in front. 2 outs for Matt Kemp.
Zito's got a good strike zone tonight with Wally Bell, the plate umpire. He's a low ball umpire, and he's a very good breaking ball umpire.
We mentioned Puig hit a home run, but so did Matt Kemp.
Well, they set up outside with a target for a fastball. It came across middle in just above the knees, and that is the happy zone for Matt Kemp. He likes that side of the plate. A lot of power down and in. And he likes to use the middle of the field.
Kemp, we mentioned during the lineups, big numbers against Zito. And this is hooked foul. 58 at bats for Kemp against Zito. 24 hits. McClellan, Hudson, and Foster from first to third. Those are your umpires. 3 home runs for Kemp lifetime against Zito. Also a double and a triple. Just outside, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Not by much. Good pitch.
Kemp. Last night you saw the home run. He went 2 for 4. And that pitch is high. It's 2-1. That was a breaking ball that didn't break. Or a changeup. It was a changeup that didn't change. 2 balls and 1 strike.
I've never heard it described like that, but I think you described it perfectly.
Hunter Pence triples alley, and that'll end the inning. A 9-pitch inning for Barry Zito, taking advantage of this ballpark. Giants are coming up. And here's the Giants lineup, and it's brought to you by Coors Light. It'll be Pagan, Blanco, and Belt. Posey, the cleanup hitter. Then Hunter Pence. Hunter Pence, big numbers against Nolasco. Sandoval, Crawford, and Abreu. And Barry Zito will pitch, and he will bat 9th.
On the hill tonight for the Dodgers will be Ricky Nolasco, 6'2", 235-pounder. He is a 8-year veteran, 30 years old, and this is what he has done this year with combined the 2 seasons in Miami and the Dodgers, 13-10 with a 3.55 ERA, 157 strikeouts against 45 walks, roughly 3-1. If you take your at-bats against him, you're going to see a fastball that will go low 90s depending on the way he cuts the ball. He's got some reach-back velocity, and he'll use it 2 strike counts. Big curveball, which is very, very good. His accuracy to both sides of the plate with that curveball is very special. Good slider and a changeup, and he'll throw everything. He's got outstanding command.
Here's Angel Pagan. And Pagan looks at a strike. He's hitting at 278. 4 home runs, 28 driven in.
Game a bit. Happy birthday.
Pagan into left center field. It's going to work its way back to Crawford in left field for out number 1.
Let's take a look at the defense the Dodgers will employ tonight behind Nolasco. Starting in their outfield from left to right, it'll be Crawford, Kemp, and Puig. You have great arms at center and right. Punto and Hairston on the left side of the infield. Schumacher and Young on the right side. And A.J. Ellis will be in the squad putting down the signs.
So here's Blanco. Blanco on the ground, just foul.
Very foul.
Blanco's got good numbers against Nolasco. He's 8 for 16.
Nolasco's 5-4 lifetime against the Giants, but that doesn't tell you the whole story. The Giants have never beaten him here. He is 4-0 with a 1.47 ERA, so he loves the friendly confines of AT&T.
Foul back. So a quick 0-2 to Gregor Blanco with Brandon Belt on deck. Blanco came in as a pinch hitter in the game last night and struck out. And he got him through a fastball up and in. First strikeout for Nolasco.
Kind of changed sidelines with him there in the 1-2 count, and he gets him to swing through it. That 0-2 pitch with a curveball, he bounced on home plate by design, and he goes up above the hands of the fastball. And that's what you could expect from Nolasco. He can throw darts with all of his pitches. And he's got half an attitude. Remember the last time the Giants saw him in Los Angeles? They knocked him out in the second inning. They got 7 runs off him.
Here's Belt, who takes a breaking ball to the backstop, and it's 1 ball and no strike. Yeah, the defense kind of messed with Nolasco in that start. Puig started in center field. He had a tough time on a couple of balls. 1-1 now to Brandon Belt. His last start, he gave up 6 runs in 5 innings. Look out. It's a 1-2. Buster Posey waiting on deck. We're in the bottom of the first inning here at AT&T Park. Glad you joined us. 4 more games left on the schedule after tonight's game. Belt would like to forget about that at bat. After 1, 0-0.
you by the Solar Company. Not just any solar company, the solar company.
All right, it's Fan Appreciation Weekend. It's this weekend, September 27th through the 29th. Giants are going to take on the Padres, and you have the opportunity to win special prizes like a deluxe City View guest room for one night at Hotel Vitale and dinner at Americano. Get to sit in the KNBR studio with Murph and Mac. And on Sunday the 29th, one lucky fan is going to win the grand prize of 2014 Toyota Corolla. So join us, Fan Appreciation. Go to sfgiants.com and get your seats.
Here's Michael Young. And he takes a strike. Michael Young with 89 at bats against Zito. Had 7 walks. 96 at bats against Barry Zito. There may have been a sacrifice fly in there. Who knows? Maybe even a sacrifice one. But nearly 100 at bats for one guy against this pitcher.
I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to be when the both of them are retired. They're going to find themselves sharing a vacation spots, perchance one into each other, but they will rehash some of those at bats, and I guarantee they'll have some laughs.
Sandoval at third. All right, on this nice evening, here's Amy G.
All right, Dwayne and Mike, several fans have inquired about the status of Andres Torres. I spoke with head athletic trainer David Greshner to get them an update. Happy to report that he had successful surgery late August to remove several bone spurs from his left heel, and he started a 6-month rehab process right here in the Bay Area, actually on the peninsula. He's working with the same therapist that worked with Buster Posey. Gentlemen?
All right, well, I'd like to see the guy. Come by.
Yeah, I got a few things you can check out.
Come on. Here's A.J. Ellis. Ellis at 239, 9 home runs, 48 driven in. Against Zito, 5 for 12. By the way, he gave you the at-bats that Michael Young had against Zito. 21 for 89, 4 doubles and a home run. So I think Zito's done pretty well against a very good hitter.
I agree.
I mean, Young, every year he was with the Texas Rangers, Young was doing something like 200 hits, hitting 300. Two balls and a strike. 2-2 to Ellis.
Good changeup. I mean, Barry Zito is so far under the normal hitting speed that the big leaguers see every day that it really upsets their timing. When he has command of his pitches, and he seems to have those pitches under command tonight, he could give you fits.
More work for Sandoval.
All right, time now for our Ford right choice. Go back. Game 1 World Series. Barry Zito taking on Justin Verlander. And he was fantastic. The Giants got him some runs. He made him stick, and he was the winning pitcher in Game 1. And the Giants would go on to sweep.
It helps when you got a third baseman that hit 3 home runs in that game.
Yeah, that does help a little bit.
3.
First 3 at bats.
Unbelievable. Just so many really great stories in the postseason last year. This is Jerry Hairston who takes the ball. 2-0. Hairston's got 27 lifetime at bats against Zito. 10 for 27, 4 doubles and a home run.
Take a look at what he has done in postseason. Talk about the Game 5 win. He went 7 2/3 shutout inning, struck out 6. He went 5 2/3, allowed just 1 run against the Tigers in Game 1 of that World Series. huge.
Okay. Center field for Pagan. He also had an RBI in each game, which in itself truly remarkable.
What's your favorite part?
Brought to you by eBay Now. Same day delivery from local stores for just $5 per order.
No score, bottom of the second inning. Buster Posey stands in. Buster at .295, 15 home runs, 72 driven in. In tight, 1 ball and 1 strike. Buster Posey last night 1 for 4. Breaking ball, tapped foul. Buster Posey in the 9th inning. Single to right field to put the tying run at first. Francisco Figueroa ended up pinch running for Buster Posey. Figueroa got into scoring position for Sandoval and Pence, but both struck out against Kinsley Jansen. The 1-2. On the ground, a fair ball down the third base line. And Posey's got a double. He'll take it.
Giants are going to challenge Carl Crawford all night long. They do not believe that he has a very good arm, and they will try and take advantage of that. And he's the only one in that Dodger outfield that you can do that with. It's the little excuse me hook you saw over at third base. Jerry Harrison, he had a first step lean to where the pitch was. And then Buster Posey went out and hooked it. And with Harrison's momentum going towards second base, he couldn't come back. And the guard on his ankle came down. He almost tripped on it.
Yeah, we cannot have that. Here's Pence. Pence rolls it foul. No balls and 1 strike. Down low. Pence, big numbers against Nolasco. 10 for 31, 2 doubles and 4 home runs. The pitch inside, it hit Pence.
Down on the knee. Little two-seam fastball that just went right into him. And with an open base right there, you wonder if that was retaliation for last night when Puig got hit. Set up in the inside corner. This thing just goes right into him and gets it right in the right knee. And he never rubbed it. Try that at home. I'm rubbing it, partner.
I'm rubbing mine right now, and I didn't even get hit.
He's amazing.
Here's Sandoval. Sandoval with a mighty swing and a foul back.
Well, in last night's ball game, Matt Cain put one right in the ribs of Puig. Last night, Dodgers did not do anything to retaliate. And they have to be careful in regards to retaliation because of possible suspensions going into the playoffs. So if there was retaliation with Nolasco, that is how you do it with an open base.
Sandoval overall at 273. He's got really good numbers against Nolasco, like Pence. Good breaking ball, 1 and 2. He's got 7 lifetime hits against Nolasco, 4 doubles and 2 home runs. And you see what he does with runners in scoring position. He's done a great job this year. One and 2. Sandoval shoots it to left, a base hit. Buster Posey stopped to make it sure it went through, and the bases are loaded for Crawford. So here's Crawford. Crawford at 253, 9 home runs, 43 driven in. Sandoval, we're waiting on Sandoval. It takes him a while to get the mitten on. I swear, it looks like our kids at Squaw when they were little, trying to put the ski gloves on.
Yeah, well, it was tough for my kids to put those on, so they used to hide Snickers bars in there.
Yeah, you'd find them a year later.
Half eaten.
Crawford takes low. He's 1 for 6 against Nolasco lifetime. There's Crawford fan. 1-0. And Crawford hits it foul. And Nolasco right now slowed everything down once he has people in scoring position.
Well, and he's got the type of command to do that. You slow things down and you throw stuff down at the base of the strike zone and let it fall below the zone. Now, you can do that a couple of times. Guys with bases loaded, sometimes they get a little jumpy. They'll swing at pitches because they want to do so well. They'll go out of the strike zone and chase. And Nolasco just took advantage of that in a 1-0 count. Nice pitch.
Crawford down the left field line. This is a foul ball, and it couldn't have been fouled by much.
Wow, I thought that was fair. That was close. Third base umpire Marty Foster making the call. And how foul was it? Foul by a foot, at least. Oh, he was 2 feet away from 2 RBIs. Maybe a foot.
1-2.
Dodgers playing him straight away. That's kind of how they set their defense against everybody.
So the difference between 2 RBIs in a strikeout, 5 inches, 6 inches.
Then he goes with a breaking ball. It almost hits him in the back leg, and he can't lay off it. Well, I mean, it's easy to lose your concentration when you don't get a double by less than a foot.
Well, Brayu can save the day. He's hitting .241, and he takes low. Did a home run last night. This is what it looked like.
Right-handed. This is a 1-0-1 count, rather, against Ryu, and spanked it out of here. That tied the score 1-1. That 2-1 ball game last night. Every run was a home run.
So Nolasco did this with Crawford, except he got Crawford to swing at the 1-0 pitch. Abreu didn't. Posey at third, Pence at second, Sandoval at first. Bottom of the second, nothing. Should be something to hit for Abreu, and he fouls it back.
Challenge fastball at 91, right out over the plate, middle away. And that's what you're looking for. The situation is simple for Abreu. He's looking for something that he can get up in the air deep enough to score Buster Posey from third. And with the arms that the Dodgers have in center and right, it's going to take more than a medium fly ball. Kemp and Puig's arms are that good. And Posey is running below average right now.
Hit to right. Puig on the move. Puig can't get it. Posey scores. Kemp scores. Here comes the Panda. He's going to score. They all score. And it's 3-0 Giants.
First career hit with the bases loaded. It breaks at 0 for 15. And let's take a look at it. They set the target away. It goes down and in. He drops the head on it. Then it's just a race between Puig and the ball. And Puig cannot catch up. And everybody comes in. Posey goes back to tag. He jogs in. Pence is just flying. And the Panda scores from first base.
Zito takes a curveball for a strike. I'll bet you if you ask Puig, he might tell you he should have had that.
No, I'm sure he will.
I mean, he ran a long way, but
an outfielder gets that much glove on a ball, they think they should have it.
Zito with the infield in, and it's a squeeze, and now Abreu is going to be in a rundown, and Nolasco tags him out. So the Giants try the old squeeze play, and the Dodgers sniffed it out.
Not much you can do if you're Zito. I mean, you can throw the bat at, I suppose, but credit the Dodgers. They just guessed right.
So 1-1 to Zito.
Well, if you're Bruce Bochy, if you're going to put on a squeeze, I mean, Barry Zito is the perfect guy to do it. He's an outstanding bunter. It's no Roger Craig trick. You put a squeeze on after a triple, everybody's talking, place is buzzing, everybody's thinking about something else, and you can catch your team sleeping. Not that time.
Two balls, two strikes. Zito with a bolt right back to the pitcher, and that'll end the inning. Giants with a 3 spot after 2. San Francisco 3, Los Angeles nothing.
To you by Heffernan Insurance Brokers. Insurance and financial services for you and your business. Visit hefins.com.
The Giants season tickets are currently sold out, but you can get on deck as a 2014 Giants season ticket member. This waiting list will give you access to opening day and all Giants home games in 2014. So lock in significant per game savings and enjoy all the benefits of a Giants season ticket member. To get information, call 415-972-2298. Or you can go to sfgiants.com/season. And while we are here, we'd like to say congratulations to Oracle Team USA. They won the America's Cup today, beating New Zealand in one of the greatest comebacks in sports history. And we all applaud you, all of us here in the Giants organization. Nice going.
How about the greatest comeback?
It was amazing.
Why do I think they're going to celebrate for like 4 months?
Well, because that's what sailors do.
You think? Yeah, that was awesome. By the way, this is Skip Schumacher, and the 1-1 pitch is hit back to Zito. Log on to csnbayarea.com and click on Giants In-Game Live, presented by pogoseat.com. Enhance the in-game experience on your computer, smartphone, and tablet. Giants In-Game Live, presented by pogoseat.com, only at csnbayarea.com. Here's Punto. And a strike to Punto. 2 for 4 lifetime against Barry Zito. on the season. Put through a couple of home runs, 21 driven in. And that one just came out of the hand of Zito awkwardly. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. No Hanley Ramirez, no Ethier. As the Dodgers just trying to get to the end of the season and get their rotation set. As Pinto fouls this one out of play, 1 and 2. And the man in charge is Don Mattingly.
Done an outstanding job righting the ship that was going so far the opposite way early in the year. And here they are, the division champions in 2013. He's done a great job.
Hit out to Pence. Pence barely has to move. And here's Nolasco,
who's a good hitter. See, Pence kind of brushed up against Ellis on the way home. Did not go unnoticed. Remember, it was Pence that got drilled on the knee. Stay tuned.
Velasco takes a strike. Nicest guy in the world, that Hunter Pence.
I think so.
Have you seen him mad?
Never.
Cleans out a room when he gets mad.
Really?
Yep. 0-1 pitch to Nolasco is outside and high. Nolasco gets Wally Bell. It's 1 and 2. If you're Nolasco, your starting pitcher, you got to turn around and say, "My bad."
Maybe he did. Just a casual conversation between a couple of left-handers.
You think Tim McClellan said, "Hey, Buster, would you give Wally Bell a little bit more time and go talk to Zito"?
I think he did.
I think he did.
Tim McClellan, the first base umpire.
Belt doesn't have enough time to say, "Yeah, tomorrow if you give me a smaller strike zone."
That comes after about 8 years in the big leagues. Two and 2.
Got him, and that'll end the inning. First strikeout for Zito. He's been perfect through 3. Angel Pagan's going to lead things off.
is brought to you by Provident Credit Union. Make life easy.
Here it's 3-0 Giants on the Abreu triple. These two have some attitude tonight. It's Beta Breakers, which in a lot of ways it's like that every night here.
That's the way it should be. Strap on your good attitude, come on out to the yard, and watch your Giants.
Here's Pagano, takes outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Pagan bounced, hit a fly ball to left field, open up the ball game. Here he hits one high and deep to right field. Puig on the move, and Puig out in Triple's alley, puts it away.
Well, that's a frustrating at bat. I mean, any other ballpark, that's a home run. But here in this ballpark, as we have so often seen, outfielders will cheat over to protect the gap in right center, and look how far towards the gap Puig is. If he's in normal positioning, I mean, he doesn't get within 30 feet of that thing. As it is, it turns out to be a big league hang with him. Kind of looked like the one he hit against the Rockies for the inside the park home run.
It did. Blanco struck out in the first inning. Slices this one to left for Crawford. 2 outs. And here's Belt. Belt had a check swing dribbler back to the pitcher.
He wants to let it so bad.
I want to check on this guy in the 7th to see if that cigar gets smaller. Because
it's like he's eating it.
If he's eating part of that.
Well, back when we were playing, you could smoke in the stands, cigars, cigarettes, whatever you wanted, pipe.
He gone. Looks like Hawk. Down low. A 1 ball and 1 strike. Belt trying to reach for Buster Posey. And a 1 hopper, 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, I'm going to miss this place.
Belt lines one foul down the right field.
Who's our ball dude down there?
That's Scott Hansen. Scott, a friend of the family. He's also the chief plastic surgeon and reconstructive surgeon at San Francisco General. He's a terrific doctor, as is Charles Lee, the chief of plastic surgery at St. Mary's Medical Center in San Francisco. So a couple of great doctors working the line. And friends. Hey, Hawk.
You by Eric's Deli Cafe. You never gonna lose with the Shrimp Wrap Veracruz. Can't stop the fuego.
Fourth inning, 3-0 Giants. Sharks and Canucks opening night. It'll happen on Thursday. Pre-game live is going to start at 6:30 right here in Comcast Sportsnet, California. It is a rematch from last season's playoff. And it's Randy and Drew. They're back. They're back.
They are. Cannot wait.
A couple of terrific announcers. A couple of terrific guys. Hey, Pinot Valley is being represented out in the Cove.
Could be a homecoming.
League takes a strike.
I don't know. Maybe they have a homecoming on a Wednesday.
Maybe in Pinot, Wednesday's a Friday.
Really?
Quick takes outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. There's the man in charge. And they're the kids. 1-1 to Puig. Puig bounced out to Sandoval to open up the ball game. Maybe a bit high. 2 balls and 1 strike. All right. A lot going on.
Yeah, that looks serious.
It does. Three and 1 to Puig.
Now, one thing about Zito, I mean, you get to a 3-1 count, don't necessarily expect a fastball. He'll throw whatever he feels he needs to throw. Right now, he needs to throw a strike.
A challenge and a bolt on 1 hop to Blanco. And that's the first hit of the game for the Dodgers. Check in with Amy G. Amy?
All right, gentlemen, we have a new Hum BB at csnbayarea.com for fans. It is sponsored by Acura, and it is our web series finale of Hum BB, so it's extra special. Not one Brandon, but both joined me for the final one of the season. It's a little bit sad because these guys were gamers. They were such a delight to work with all season long. They talk a little bit about what their favorite moments were this season. They also share who's a better dancer, you know, stuff like that. Fun. Hum BB, it's been a pleasure. Gentlemen.
All right. Here's Crawford. Crawford takes a strike. Hum BB. Crawford hit a pop-up to Hunter Pence in right field. Just a little low. 1 ball and 1 strike. On deck is Matt Kemp. Smarty Marty, just another book signing for Amy G. My goodness, this woman gets around town, you know it?
Well, she was popular before Smarty Marty came out. Now it's off the charts.
Good pitch, just missed. 2-1. Sandoval in at third. As we've seen from Carl Crawford, he will slash a lot of balls to left field. Puig is going to work on his shoes. There's Amy G's autograph.
Yeah, she puts that little happy face on there just for you.
Oh, yeah. Two balls and 1 strike. To the outfield. for this ballpark straight away. He's stolen 11 bags. He's been thrown out 8 times. And Crawford goes after that high fastball and he fouls it back.
That's the pitch right there. He goes to left field on. Saw him do it last night a couple times.
Two-two pitch. Here it is to Carl Crawford. And he pops it up. Posey over by the on-deck circle, and it's just out of reach. And we have a man down.
Steph, make a play, meet. I think he's okay. Got him right on the top of the shoulder.
Yeah. That's why you wear shoulder pads to a baseball game.
All right, I got it. I got this one. Oh.
Here it is. I got it. Mike? I don't got it.
Well, he had it the first 90 feet. It was just the last 6 inches that screwed him up.
And if he had a glove?
Yeah, Steph, if you bring your glove, you make the play, meet.
3-2 to Crawford.
Well, that looks like he's getting a lot of sympathy.
I'm not sure you should. Oh. Yeah. Maybe.
She's horse laughing.
That didn't hurt, did it?
Yeah. How about if I squeeze it? Does it feel a little better?
Oh, yeah. It's not your fault, honey. You didn't bring your glove. Zito almost throws it away.
Steph's been going to a lot of games, and we see him down there all the time, and has never once brought a glove.
I want to see it again. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Crawford, base hit right field past Abreu. Puig is going to put on the brakes.
All right, right now we're going to ask our AT&T trivia question tonight. If you think you know your answer, tweet your answer to CSN Giants. The question tonight, since 1958, which 2 Giants lefty pitchers struck out more batters than Barry Zito? Let's think about that for a bit. Oh. Yep, they're blowing you up, Steph.
Kemp hit a deep fly ball to right center field. Swing and a miss. No balls and 1 strike. Kemp, dangerous, but especially dangerous here with his history of success against Zito. Left field, hit well, off the top of the wall. They're going to send in Puig. He will score. Stopping at third is Kemp. Stopping at third is Crawford. Kemp stops at second with a double. And this game was nearly tied up with 1 swing of the bat.
Well, David Getty going to come out, talk it over with Zito. Let's take a look at the pitch. A little change up. And this is what the Dodgers have been waiting for with Kemp. He had a little bit of lower body slide, but his hands stayed back and really rifled that bat hit right through the zone. An easy score for Puig. He's going to go halfway, make sure it's not caught. But he comes in, and Crawford was right behind him.
So here's Michael Young. Young bounced out to third in the second. Taps this one back to Zito. Zito will throw to first. And that'll bring up A.J. Ellis. And Zito took the sting out of Young's bat. Ellis hit a bouncing ball to Sandoval. Again, infield back. Sandoval about 3 steps beyond the bag at third. And a strike to Ellis on the inside corner. Oh, and 1. Hairston is on deck.
Trying to run that cutter right in on the hands of A.J. Ellis. It's a good pitch because if you miss, you want to miss off the plate in. And with his changeup, a big slow curveball, it does set up the outside corner with something soft.
Gets that spot again. It's 1 and 2.
Slightly right in the inside corner. Ellis gives him some stank on. One thing catchers know about umpires, they know how far they can go with rebuttal. Wasted pitch.
So it's 2 and 2 to Ellis. Belt. 2 down. So here's Hairston. A Dodger fan with some attitude. Hairston hit a fly ball to center field to end the second inning. In tight, 1 ball and no strikes. Zito doesn't have to get into the strike zone with Hairston if he chooses not to. He's got first base open. That's going to be out of play. Another chance for our man. And this time he makes the catch.
Well, have a night. We're not going to replay that one. Nice going, Meat. I'll grab some pine.
1 ball and 1 strike.
A total redeemer.
You usually don't get those, do you?
No, you have to wait like 10 years to get a redeemer.
One ball and 1 strike. Very close.
All right, let's take a look. He's earned it. He absolutely jumped on about 3 people, but he makes the play.
Lost the watch. Lost the glasses.
Squashed his girlfriend.
$16 ball. Breaking ball, 2-2. He's about 3,500 in the hole right now. Two balls, 2 strikes. Foul. Tim Wallach doing a dance to get out of the way.
Like Tyra Uematsu may have got nicked a bit. All right, Tyra, you okay? Can't be hurting Tyra. We're too close to the end.
Right. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Dyson steps out. Crawford's at third and Kemp's at second. Hit up the middle. Crawford cannot keep it in his glove. Coming in to score is Crawford. And Hairston is aboard.
They ruled out an error on Crawford. Let's take a look. Ball hit up the middle. Just can't put it in the pocket.
So here's Schumacher. So that's how close Zito was to limiting the damage to just 1 run. Schumacher with a swing and a miss. No balls and 1 strike.
Guillermo Moscoso heading down to the Giants bullpen.
One ball and 1 strike. Now, the reason why Moscoso is going down to the bullpen, this is a 28 pitch inning for Zito. One and 2. Schumacher didn't buy it.
Generous call.
Going to be a tough play, and they got him. Nice play, Abreu to Crawford to keep the Giants with the lead. 3-2 Giants.
Francisco Giants and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of San Francisco Baseball Associates, LLC.
Our time to ask and answer our AT&T trivia question. The question tonight, since 1958, which two Giants lefty pitchers struck out more batters than Barry Zito? Mercer Bissett? Well, Mike McCormick and Sean Estes.
Wow. There you go. Here's Buster Posey, who doubled in the second. Here he takes the called strike. Strikeouts by a lefty pitcher since 1958.
Madison Bumgarner just too shy of Kirk Reeder.
I think that guy on the bottom is going to end up being on top.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And you really wouldn't consider him a strikeout guy. 2-2 to Buster Posey. Posey, base hit right field. It's probably going to happen where Sunday's going to come around and Buster Posey is going to be swinging a hot bat, and he's going to wish the season was going on for another month.
Hunter Pence talking it over with A.J. Ellis. Here it was Hunter Pence that bumped into him when he ran by home plate. Looked like it was a pretty cordial visit.
In tight to Hunter Pence. 1 ball and no strikes.
Aloha from Hawaii beat LA. Okay, Gamer Babe from Hawaii.
Pence out into right center field for Puig. 1 out. And that'll bring up Pablo Sandoval. Sandoval with a base hit to left field in the second.
This is when he got hit in the knee with an open base, and when he came in, there was a little brush up there, and Pence almost got knocked down.
Yeah, a couple of big fellas, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Sandoval takes the breaking ball down low. Young holding on Buster Posey, and that's rolled foul.
Panda fan.
High to Sandoval. 2 balls and 1 strike. Brandon Crawford on deck. Giants with a 3-2 lead. Sandoval goes to left field. Crawford back at the wall. Out of here. The onus continues for Sandoval against Ricky Nolasco, and it's now 5-2 Giants.
And that's a big man's home run. You go the opposite way. In this ballpark, those at bats stand out. really wasn't that bad of a pitch as a breaking ball that he threw on the outside part of the plate. Watch him catch backspin on this one. Boom. And when you catch backspin, you can't carry. And carry here tonight to left field. 2-run homer.
For Sandoval, his 14th. Crawford a swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike. Velasco with 55 pitches. Outside to Crawford, 2-1.
Watch his head stay through this swing. I mean, he really stays down right through it. And when you're reaching on the outside part of the plate, a lot of times you'll pull off that part. That was perfect. Head stays still. And just backspin it right out of here. Hit the bottom half of the ball, you're going to get carried. Especially if you're strong and you have a haircut like that.
3-2. Well, you have to be strong to have a haircut like that. A little skinny guy with a haircut like that, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, it just doesn't.
Adrianza could not pull that off.
Not yet.
Crawford rolls this one foul. But he can. And so can she. I don't know.
She's got her Dodger money hat on.
Crawford into center field, starts to carry, but Kemp with room, 2 outs. And here's Abreu. Abreu found Triple's alley to his liking. Is he tripled with the bases loaded? So a note, Mike, the Rangers today beat the Astros. You say, all right, big deal, right? You want to know how the Rangers are still in the wild card race? They're 17-2 against the Astros.
Holy smokes. I guess they won the Battle of Texas this year.
I think they did. Pablo Sandoval goes opposite field. And when you do that, it's bye-bye, baby. And it's 5-2 Giants.
is brought to you by Cloudy with a Chance at Meatballs 2 in theaters September 27th.
This Saturday is the second annual Yoga Day at the park. Your yoga special event package. It's going to include a ticket to the game, the yoga session after the game, and a limited edition Giants Yoga mat bag. 415-972-2298, sfgiants.com, special events. And in order to get that mat bag, you need a special event ticket. I want to get one of those mat bags. Here's Punto.
And this is a big hit now for Zito. He's going out the stretch. He has canned the windup.
Yeah, he threw Punto off. He's looking around to see if somebody's on base.
That should make you think a little bit if you're in the box.
Zito now with 65 pitches as we're into the fifth inning. Two and 0.
Now he may feel like he had a bit of a glide going out of the windup. Talked with it between innings with Dave Rigetti, and this is the resolve. Go out there and get into your stretch. Big league pitchers, especially veterans, trust that stretch position a little more than they do the windup.
And thank you very much. It's 2 balls and 1 strike.
Well, Zito, it's going back into the windup now. So, he's looking for the release.
What I'd really like to see him do is break out that thing that he tried in spring training that one year. He was like running from second base, and the Giants were like, no,
Well, it was a bit unorthodox.
Zito slows it down. He can't find it. Posey does, however, and he tries to shovel it to first, and Punto is aboard, and it'll be a base hit.
And just like that, Zito's back in the stretch, and here comes Dave Gresher. I'm not sure where it caught him. If it was a leg shot, it's one you can get through before it stiffens up an inning or 2 from now. But if it's in the hand, I don't know. I think it was the leg.
Unless it got the hand before it got the leg.
And never saw it. Yes, Posey, that ball go up. Looks free and easy there.
Yep. So here's Nolasco. Nolasco struck out in the 3rd. And he bunts it. And Zito will pick it up and throw to Abreu. And Punto down to second base.
Well, the NBC Bay Area Investigative Unit, led by Tony Kowaleski, they're an award-winning team of 14 journalists dedicated to holding the powerful accountable. The investigative unit on NBC Bay Area. We investigate.
Look out, brother.
Well, there we are. We're just straightening my tie.
Certainly wouldn't be the first time. Puig is 1 for 2. Zito got caught in a spot where he had to come into Puig. And Puig lined a single to left field to open up the fourth. And a strike, and it's 0-1.
Pretty straight set in defense of Puig. They've got Crawford pulled about 2 steps towards the 5.5 hole, towards the third base side at shortstop, but that's about the only adjustment. Belts played off the line about 6-7 steps at first base, understandably. When you see Puig go to right field, it's usually in the air, not many on the ground.
One ball and one strike. Look out. Heads, is that Pete?
Pete Alonso.
Pete? That thing protected Pete.
I think it saved him. It's still working, kinda. A little duct tape, good as new. Dave Binzer is giving him no sympathy.
Unfortunately, that is just a tough spot to be in foul ball wise. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That curveball it's not a good pitch when you miss high with it. You've got an advantage in the count 0-2, 1-2. You've got to say in your mind, I'm going to miss down below the zone. They'll swing at that. They'll swing at that one that bounces on home plate. But when you miss that high, it really is no good.
Two and two to Yasiel Puig. Get on the ground to Crawford. Crawford will check third, go to first, 2 outs. Get the sure out. And that'll bring up Crawford.
You watch Puig go. Even his ground balls that are hit are lasers.
Yeah, they got something behind it, that's for sure. Crawford singled and scored in the fourth. Punto is at third with 2 outs. And a strike, and it's 0-1. Little flare out to Blanco, and that'll end the inning. Zito's going to lead things off. Kieschnick, it looks like he's going to hit for Barry Zito.
Barry Zito came in after the 5th inning, and Bruce Bochy went in there and shook his hand, and I think Barry Zito wanted to stay in this game. Bruce Bochy going to pinch hit, and I think after the long period of inactivity, he's worried about the pitch count. So Zito's night is over, and he pitched well. 5 strong, couple of earned runs, no walks, 1 strikeout, 4 hits. So right now it's Roger Kieschnick.
Kieschnick hitting at 207. And he takes the pitch in tight. Kieschnick rolls this one on the ground foul. Two-two pitch. Here it is to Kieschnick, and Kieschnick is out swinging.
So the back foot breaking ball, the culprit, and it did him in.
I know exactly what Barry Zito's thinking. I could have done that.
You do think that. Dodgers are here for one more game tomorrow night. There are still tickets available. If you would like to go to sfgiants.com.
Here's Pagan. Pagan is flied out twice, once to deep right center field in Triples Alley. Here he takes a strike. Blanco's on deck. We're in the bottom of the 5th. 5-2 Giants. And this is going to be a flare over the head of Punto for a base hit. So Pagan is aboard, and that'll bring up Blanco. Blanco is struck out, and he's lined out to left field.
There you see the Rangers once again beat the Astros. 17 times they beat them this year. 2 times they lost. That's unbelievable.
Well, you knew somebody in that American League West was going to take advantage of the Rangers or the Astros, and it turned out to be the Rangers.
That is not a beach ball. We don't do beach balls.
So that balloon is going to create a lot of havoc.
Well, hey, it stopped the game.
Pagan at first, Blanco at the plate. Pagan's got 9 steals this year. He is leaning. He does not go, and there's the pitch low.
So Zito a bit disappointed. His catcher comes over and tells him, good job. He pitched well. Well, the Giants, they'll try and save this one for him.
One ball and no strikes. Hit to center field. Kemp. 2 outs. And here's Belt. I think the ball's carrying pretty good tonight.
I agree. It's the most carry we've seen. And not only this homestand, but the last homestand as well.
Belt tonight is bounced out, and he's struck out. Here he lines it to right, and he's got a base hit. Pagan running well. As the ball squirts away from Punto. And Buster Posey, who's got a couple of hits tonight, is coming up.
Finally some activity down the Dodger bullpen. Posey, 297. You know he'd like to get to that 300 mark. Brandon League starting to get stretched for Los Angeles, and Rick Honeycutt's going to come out and kill a little time. Give League a chance to get loose.
.73 pitches for Nolasco. There's League. Buster Posey doubled down the left field line and singled into right field. Both times he has scored. And the pitch. And right at the knees on the outside corner. No balls and 1 strike. Giants 5, Dodgers 2. Dodgers with 4 hits tonight. The Giants with 7. Nolasco started to go but didn't stop. And the 0-1. Nothing in 2.
And taking that pitch right there tells you one thing. He is not looking for a fastball. That's the only reason he takes that pitch.
A scoring opportunity for the Giants here in the 5th. They lead by 3. One and 2.
Again with the fastball, and I mean, just missed a bit outside. Opportunity to create a little distance here. 2 strike, 2 out knock is devastating if you can get it.
Hit on the ground to third. Hairston the short way, and that ends the inning. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. After 5, 5-2 Giants.
2003. That's when Benito Santiago had a walk-off single in the bottom of the 11th inning, and he did it off of Dodgers' Eric Gagne. The Giants were going to win that ball game 3-2, and that was a great memory. Gagne not happy, Giants very happy, and that's our McDonald's True Stories. Well, when it's time for a change, the Expedia Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change tune-up and smog experts. It's going to be George Contos now in relief of Barry Zito. Zito was outstanding tonight. George Contos coming in for the 50th time this year, 2-2 with a 4.67 ERA. Contos, a fastball slider, 45 strikeouts in 52 innings.
Here's Kemp. Kemp takes a called strike. Kemp missed a home run by 4 feet, which would have tied the game in the 4th inning. He ended up with a double and an RBI. Contos with that very good slider, and Kemp rolls it to the backstop. It's 0-2. Tigers clinched the American League Central tonight.
Congratulations.
We're watching that celebration as Kemp shoots it into left field. So that came on an 0-2 pitch.
He threw an 0-2 slider, and that's your opportunity to really bury one down and out of the strike zone. Let him chase it. Kemp will chase, and look where this one is. That is a hanging banger right there. That's an 0-2 mistake.
So here's Young. Michael Young has bounced out twice. Outside, 1 ball and no strikes. A.J. Ellis is on deck. Giants 5, Dodgers 2, 6th inning. Two and 0.
Sometimes you have to go back and take a look at that scoreboard and realize that you've got a 3-run lead and you do not have to nibble early on. Put the pressure on the hitter, especially when you're getting in that strike zone with the first pitch. Get that quick 0-1, then you can start going to corners.
Hit on the ground to Sandoval. Ball flattens out, and he throws it into right field. And I don't think that's on Sandoval.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a ball that's got to be caught. Now, they initially say it's an E5, but I think it's a Tony Abreu there at second base. Sandoval trying to be quick. Knows he's got. That's got to be caught. That's an E4.
Yeah. I'm changing it. We'll change it now to an error on Abreu.
So now Conto's going to try and pitch to an error.
Ellis has bounced out and popped out. Hits this one into right center field. Pence moving over. He will make the catch. Scoring is Kemp, and it's 5-3. Check in with Amy G.
All right, gentlemen, Marco Scudero, he may be physically shut down for the rest of the season, but the 37-year-old is wrapping up his 13th season in Major League Baseball, and he is sharing some serious knowledge with a couple of rookies. Juan Perez and Ede Arianza shared with me how helpful he's been working with them on things like the daily details, how to prep for a pitcher they've never faced, but also helping them handle this game at this level. He's been quite the mentor. Gentlemen?
Yes, indeed he has. Just because health is keeping you from playing doesn't mean you can't help the team. Here's Hairston.
Well, Mark DeRosa kind of proved that in 2010.
Yeah, you're right. Mark DeRosa, the starting left fielder when the Giants opened up in Houston that year. Oh, 1 to Hairston with Young at first base, 1 out. 1 ball and 1 strike.
When Contos keeps that slider down, it's a good pitch to get a ground ball with. A view from our Virgin America loft out of left field.
I love that loft.
Yeah, it was fun the night we got to broadcast from there. That's a good view.
Runner goes, foul out of play. There has to be a reason why after we did the broadcast from there, every year after we've asked to do it again, silence.
Sold out every year.
I don't know if it's something we said or didn't say.
And they're saying there may be a surprise next year. They may be making a change to the ballpark.
Really? Is that a tease?
Yep.
Hit on the ground to Abreu. Crawford. Belt. Double play. Pence to lead things off.
Home of the most live sports.
Get up to the minute you're up with Today in the Bay. See breaking news, your weather forecast, and real-time traffic. Watch Today in the Bay weekdays starting at 4:30 a.m. on NBC Bay Area.
Dodgers general manager Ned Colletti there.
Breaking ball to Kemp is in tight. 1 ball and no strikes. Pence hit by a pitch and scored, and hit a fly ball to right. He takes low, 2-0. Swing and a miss. So Velasco did not give in to Pence. It's 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, he never will. I mean, he doesn't have to. He's just got too good a command of his pitches. We've seen him have games where he's just been spot on with his curveball. And that's unusual when you see a guy go back and forth, inside, outside with a curveball. Greshner talking over Marco Scudero.
3-1 pitch. And Pence takes the walk.
Every time the Giants have had a leadoff hitter get on base in this game, they've scored.
They've done good. Here's Sandoval. Sandoval is singled and he's homered. And his 2-run home run in the 4th is the difference in this game. Look out. Bullet foul. This was the home run by Sandoval.
Got a curveball on the outside corner, just takes it out the other way. That was a 2-run shot after the Dodgers had scored 2, made it a 3-2 ball game. Sandoval put him back up by 3 with that swing.
I'll tell you what, he's taking some healthy rips, and this is going to be out of play.
Second hump for the league. The big fist never gets old.
Yeah. Got to be something in it, though.
Fill that bad boy up.
In the dirt, nice play, Ellis. 1-2. Crawford to follow. Pence with his lead at first. He's got 21 steals. Sandoval out of the box, but quickly back in. Velasco with pitch number 86 on the night. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Still trying to work soft on that outside corner. Goes upstairs with 90 miles an hour. Set up inside. This thing goes out over the plate. I mean, that's a mistake. And it's up above the belt. Got away with one there.
Here's Crawford.
And any pitch you can get it out with, that's a great pitch.
Crawford is struck out and he's flied out. Pence still at first with 1 out. No balls and 1 strike.
Velasco has given Crawford a steady dive at that curveball at inside corner tonight. He has not been able to do much with it.
Crawford out of play, 0-2.
We have a winner. Out of it.
Oh.
It's worth it.
Oh. I broke it. Worth it. 0-2. Velasco slowing things down.
Meanwhile, our guy with a cigar.
Oh yeah, it's gone. He ate it.
I think he got a little stub left. Maybe.
Crawford stays alive. Almost 3. Oh, 0-2 to Crawford. Got him.
And he elevates for strike 3. So both times, the payoff pitch to Sandoval and now Crawford have been fastballs up.
So here's Tony Abreu. Abreu, 3 RBIs on the triple with the bases loaded, and then he got caught looking to end the 4th. That was that big curveball that Velasco's been known to steal a strike or 2. He does it here with Abreu, and it's 0-1. That 74-mile-an-hour slow curveball, and it's now 0-2.
Yeah, it's frustrating too. You take the big breaking ball for strike 1, and then you swing at the one below the strike zone, and now you're in an 0-2 hole. But if you're a pitcher, it's the beauty of getting strike 1 and being able to do it with a curveball.
Dodgers thinking that Pence was going to go. Hey, 0-2.
Howell, the left-hander, has joined league.
This pop-up into shallow right field. Everybody playing deep. It's going to fall. And here comes Pence, and the throw home cut off. How in the heck did that ball fall in?
That is a gift. But you called it, they were playing so deep. And when this thing got up, I don't think Puig ever had a good step towards the ball. It was like 2 steps to his right. And when he finally did get going, it was too late. And with 2 outs, Hunter Pence full stride, and he gets the green light from Flannery. And the Giants get that 3-run lead back. You watch Puig's route. He kind of laid back, took a step to the right, and then he broke in.
So here's Don Mattingly, and that's going to be it for Nolasco. Puig was upset, not because of Penn scoring. Puig was upset because the ball was cut off. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. Your oil change tune-up and smog experts. (6-3) Giants. And there's your new pitcher.
New pitcher now for the Dodgers will be Brandon League. Look at his numbers, 6-4 with a 5.43 ERA, 28 strikeouts. And Brandon League really has unbelievable stuff. You're going to see mid-90s sink. He's got a split that's a swing and miss split. He just has not had great command this year. He started out at the Giants or the Dodgers closer. He lost that job, and now he's fighting to make this postseason roster.
Here's Johnny Monell. And he hits this on the ground to second. And that'll end the inning. A run for the Giants on a hit. Through 6. It's 6-3 Giants. Ricky Nolasco and Barry Zito, those were your starters tonight. Zito's got a chance for a win. Abreu with 4 RBIs tonight, and Pablo Sandoval's got an opposite field home run. And it's time for a change. Speedy oil change and tune-up. Your oil change, tune-up, and smog experts.
So Gene Machi going to come in here and pitch the 7th inning. 49 times he's come in. 3-1 with a 2.52 ERA. Pitched him last night's game. He was absolutely outstanding. 1-2-3 with a strikeout.
Schumacher shoots the first one foul. Oh yeah, we got some Dodger fans that are having a ball. No balls and 1 strike. Hit on the ground to Belt, and it's a fair ball. 1 out.
Now this was the ball that dropped for the double, and Puig came up here and threw the ball, and you can see the ball was cut off. If it comes through, there's no chance to get him at home plate. And he was really upset that they had cut the ball. And from his perspective in right field, he thought he had a chance to get him, but youth.
Here's Punto. So Lopes talking, and then Adrian Gonzalez kind of gets into your screen, and he helps Lopes a little bit, maybe interpreting. There's a strike to Punto.
Well, the point being, if you have a reaction like that in the outfield, you're showing up your first baseman, and it's not something you want to make a habit of doing, because if you do it too often and it becomes habitual, your teammates start to develop an attitude against you, and that's not good.
It's not good. You can be a little understanding for a while, and then afterward, not anymore.
And Michael Young is the guy that cut that ball off, and he's been around this game since Hector was a puppy. And he knows when to cut, and he knows when to not cut. And his decision to cut was a good one.
Two and two.
You saw Scott Van Slyke, the on-deck hitter.
Out of play. The beauty of a foul ball and how it makes people smile.
Yeah, they're magical. They truly are. And we've seen that through our lives a number of times, handing them off to kids.
No swing on the appeal.
Well, MLB.com at bat is celebrating 5 years as your #1 mobile app for live baseball. It's available for iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry 10, and Windows Phone 8. At bat delivers Giants baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, highlights, and more. Text at bat to 31826 or go to sfgiants.com for details. Javier Lopez heading down the Giants bullpen. And let's put Dwayne Kuiper in the Hall of Fame. And all you have to do is go to the Giants website and you can vote.
Punto fouls it out of play.
Go to facebook.com/baseballhall. And that's how you get in to vote. It's a little bit of a trick, but well worth it.
Three balls, 2 strikes. Got him. Buster Posey's unhappy about something. Did he get caught with a backswing?
Now watch when he throws the ball back. He comes back, and he may have clipped Punto with the tip of his finger. You can see the agony. Punto comes into the picture and may have been the umpire.
No, I don't think so. But remember, he's got a broken finger.
Well, whatever happened, it lit up that tip. Maybe he just caught a piece of Punto. Ouch. That's no fun. Trying to play this game when you're not injured, stuffing up, but when you've got broken fingers. Got to be tough, and he is.
So here's Van Slyke. No chance. No balls and one strike.
Well, you kind of forget about that pitch from Machi. I mean, it's fastball, low to mid-90s, and the split. He's got that little slider, too, he can get you with.
And he comes back with the same pitch, and he's throwing two. Puig to follow. One and two. See you later. That'll end the inning.
That was nasty.
Machi with two strikeouts. Van Slyke unhappy.
highlights, reaction, and analysis, and it's coming up right after the game.
Giants with a 6-3 lead. But it's time for a change. Think Speedy. Oil change and tune-up. Your oil change tune-up with Smog.
New pitcher now for the Dodgers is J.P. Howell, the lefty. See a fastball that's high 80s with a curveball and a changeup. Likes to throw that cutter a lot. 51 strikeouts in 60 innings. You can see what he does to lefties. He chews them up. Hitting $168 off them. 23 walks. Really his only blemish.
First pitch strike to Pagan, who's 1 for 3. Gregor Blanco to follow, and then Brandon Belt. So a couple of left-handed hitters for Howell. But first the switch hitter, Pagan. So 1-2.
Howell's got good stuff.
And Pagan out swinging. Pagan said, I tipped it. No, I tipped it. Well, there's not much you can do here. You can't get any help. You can only hope that if you did tip it, the umpire heard it, and clearly Wally Bell did not. So Pagan is retired, and that'll bring up Blanco.
That's your only defense. Let's see if we can hear it. Yeah, he caught a piece. It sounded like it. And an ultra slow motion. Our Exmo, brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, proves it.
Blanco 0 for 3. This is the week, and I'm going to say this from experience, but this is the week hitters kind of start to pay close attention to where you're at average points. If you're at 265, you want to stay above 260. If you're at 253, you want to stay above 250. If you're at 301, you want to stay above 300. And it can get really weird if you let it affect you.
Well, if your ERA is 4.01, you know that going out there. You want to get it under 4. If it's 3.96, you want to keep it under 4.
And it's only natural. It has nothing to do at all about being selfish. You just got to work it the right way, though.
And wherever you are, if you have 47 RBIs, you want to get 50. If you have 58, you want to get 60.
Blanco takes a strike.
Salary guard.
My second year, I was still a rook in 1975, but I went into Boston. 3-game series, I was hitting 305, and I left hitting 292.
Oh.
Let's check in with Amy G.
All right, gentlemen, the votes have been cast, and now they're being counted, and I'm talking about the 2013 Willie Mack Award winner for the Giants. It's a highly coveted honor. It is given to the most inspirational person on the Giants club for the season, and fans are always anticipating and anxious to hear who it's going to be, and they will find out Friday night. We are going to cover the ceremony live. Make sure you tune in to Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area. Gentlemen?
Yep. It's always a big day. No, it was Amy G that Tim McClellan was yelling at.
It's like, yo, Amy G, let's go.
Yeah, Sammer running the camera, and Tim McClellan was like, yo, Amy's throwing Sammer under the bus as we speak. Belt fouls it back.
Ooh, he was on it, and he was looking for it. There's Sammer, lugging that thing around. So Amy got Sammer in trouble.
Well, part of the games, the reason they're so long is because of Sammer. Length of games / Sammer. Belt fouls it back. He had another good rip, 0-2.
I was surprised that Hal came back with another curveball just because of how much of the lower body Belt had in his swing. See a guy timed to a speed, whatever you're throwing up there, change up, curveball, slider, strike, fastball. If he's timed to it, most of the time you want to go to something else. That's exactly what this guy's saying.
Yeah.
Can read his lips.
He's talking about Tim McClellan and Amy G. You do not want Amy G to go all George Brett on Tim McClellan.
She'll do it. And remember, George Brett did go George Brett against Tim McClellan.
It was like, what, 25 years ago?
Famous pine tar on the bat incident.
Might have been 30 years ago.
You know what's great about that? You see that replay of that argument George Brett had with McClellan. Tim McClellan, he was rocking the perm there.
He was. And I don't think Brett got suspended. Now, he might be gone for a month.
Oh, easy. Tim McClellan, been a good umpire for a long time.
I can still, it's one of the great shots of Brett just calmly sitting in the dugout. And then here he comes. It was awesome.
It was big time snappage.
Yeah, one of the few times the whole deal was overruled. 3-2 to Belt.
So once it got overruled, do you think, guys, I mean, you could put pine tar over your bat after that.
You know what? I think umpires still kept an eye on it, but Brett could. Brett could have walked up there with the pine tar rag attached to the bat, and he was golden.
I think you're right.
And Belt is gonna be called out. So Marty Foster had enough. And Brandon Belt, did he go?
No, it's a bad call.
So Pagan unhappy, Belt unhappy. Giants lead.
Brian Wilson. Definitely a little different watching him come in from over there. It's part of the game. Guys get moved around a bit. We're happy he's healthy. He meant a lot to us with what we've done here in the past few years.
It's 6-3 here tonight as we head to the 8th when it's time for a change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. Your oil change tune-up and small experts.
Santiago Casilla, 55th time that he has come in. This is his body of work. He's had a solid season.
Oh my goodness, heads up. I was about to say, if Posey sets up on the inside corner as this young lady got hit, but she also got the ball.
Game a bit.
With Casilla and sometimes how he opens up, I'd say Mr. Puig heads up. Let's see where Posey sets up. First in, now away, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Noonan is at third. Right back to where it came from. 1 out. And now to bring up Crawford.
They call me the Heat. Heather the Heat. All right, Heather. Heat. Grab some pine, Heat.
Here's Crawford, who's 1 for 3. The Dodgers with 5 hits in the game, and in the 4th inning, they had 3 in a row. Puig, Crawford, and Kemp. After that, Punto a base hit in the 5th, and Kemp a base hit in the 6th. And that's going to be right over the bag at third for Crawford. Blanco with a good strong throw, and it's a double. Did a lot of balls to the opposite field in the first 2 games of this series. It's not even a strike.
No, and he just sort of follows it out of the strike zone. And look at how this hugged the line going past Noonan. Nothing he could do about it. And I tell you, Edgar Blanco made a great play. And he had ideas of trying to throw it at Crawford. Crawford just too fast, but not for lack of effort for Grego Blanco.
Kemp is 2 for 3. He also hit a ball as far out in the triples alley as you can hit one, and it was caught. Javi Lopez is now in the bullpen. Foul back. Kemp had a good swing. It's 1 ball and 1 strike.
Yeah, his shoulders got you feel a little bit better, much better, as a matter of fact. This swing tonight and in this series has been dramatically different than what we saw earlier in the year.
This is going to be Pence, and it'll fall. The throw will be cut off by Belt, and it's 6-4. So maybe a couple balls not hit that hard, but it works for the Dodgers. And now Michael Young is going to hit, and for the Dodgers, they have to be pleased. Matt Kemp has 3 hits tonight.
Yeah, this is what they were hoping for, getting him back and ready going into the playoffs. Osario on your left. Carlos Mamal on the right.
Casilla and Posey come together, and they got him. And a nice play by Buster Posey. Because who knows where Casilla would have thrown it.
That was not an easy play. A little confusion down here as to who's going to get it. And this route there, knows no man land. Look how far out Posey had to come to get it. Just hops back on his back foot and unloads a strike to Belt. What's the back foot hop?
And that's with a broken finger.
And just, gets it by a foot. And you're right.
A.J. Ellis is 0 for 2. He had a sacrifice fly in the 6th. And a strike at the knees and the 0-1. Look out. 1 ball and 1 strike.
That 2-seam fastball that Casilla's got, it's got such big movement on it. And if he's trying to put a fastball in that inside corner, a lot of times he'll throw that 2-seam and it will just take off right into a right-handed hitter. They have nowhere to go with it.
On a play, 1 and 2. Casilla gets the sign, looks at the target and the pitch, and it's hit out to Pence, and Pence will put it away, and that'll end the inning. A run on 2 hits. Posey, Pence, Sandoval coming up.
Game 3 of this 3-game series. You'll see it at 7 o'clock, pregame live at 6:30. You'll see it right here on Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area. The home of the world champion Giants is right here on Comcast Sportsnet.
Stay tuned for the post-game wrap coming up in just a bit. And I'll also talk about the game with Murph and Matt tomorrow morning on KNBR 680.
Tim Lincecum going to be on the hill tomorrow against Edinson Volquez. And it'll be his last start of the year.
And it's time for a change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. Your oil change tune-up and smog experts.
Carlos Marmol, 51st time he's come in. A season split between the Cubs and the Dodgers. And Marmol's got great stuff. You're going to look at mid-90s fastball with a hard slider. Just command has always been the issue.
Romo getting loose. Posey with 2 hits tonight at 297.
Now there's your incentive.
It's only natural. It's the way it works. Don't forget to check out Sportsnet Central tonight after Giants postgame live right here on Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area.
Over the fence, Pence. That could be a nickname.
So that's the over the fence Pence gang?
Yeah.
I got it.
A.J. Ellis going to come out and say, yo, Carlos, throw a strike. Kill him with girls.
That's right. We're not in Chicago. Come on. And he does throw a strike. He took a little off at 95, 1 ball and 1 strike.
See, I think the catchers could be motivational speakers. They really do. Proof positive right there. Pence been on base a couple times tonight, hit by a pitch and a walk. Scored a couple times.
Two balls and a strike. 2-2. These guys are tough to hit off of. You don't know if he's going to throw a strike, and if he does, it's at 94, 95. You don't know if he's going to throw one at your left shoulder or at your ear hole. And then he shoots one right past you.
Yeah, he is not comfortable with that, no doubt.
Pill is going to hit for Casilla. See the numbers for Pill at the big league level. He had a terrific season in Fresno. Swing and a miss. 0-2.
Well, this is really where Marmol, or really any pitcher, likes to get you. But with Marmol's slider, and you're right-handed hitter, and now Ellis wants a fastball.
1-2.
But when he can just rear back and just fire sliders at you, he's had the count 0-2, 1-2. It's one of the best sliders in the game. First saw him with the Cubs when he first came up, and we thought, who is this guy? I think it was a spring training game at Hohokam Park down in Mesa. And he faced 5 guys, came into an existing inning. He struck out 5 guys. And it wasn't even close.
Runner goes, and a swing and a foul at home plate. So it remains 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That will sober you up quick, I got to tell you. Jumping into the cove.
Ooh. 2-2 to Pill. Pill stays alive. He just got a piece. So another 2-2 pitch, here it is, and it's low, very close, 3-2. You think he feels better now? I don't.
Well,
I'm serious.
He proved a point.
I mean, it's not like it's 95 and humid. Posey goes, Pill takes the walk.
Well, I guarantee the air feels warmer than in the water.
I guarantee you it was a dare. Or a lost bet. Maybe trying to impress a girl.
Yeah, I think that had everything to do with it. It impressed me.
Here's Crawford. Well, if Marmo can't throw a strike, the Dodgers are going to get somebody else in the bullpen.
Well, it looks like the left-hander, Onelki Garcia, is going to go down and start getting heated up.
And Marmo just took a peek down to the bullpen. One ball and 1 strike.
Well, that's kind of the way it's been with him, though. I mean, because of his bouts with wildness, he could not handle the closing job. And he really exasperated the Cubs fans because they saw the stuff. They saw the 95-plus fastball and the slider, but he just doesn't have command. And if you look at the way he collapses his backside, I mean, there's a lot that he has to do to get back up and get his hand into throwing position. It's not the type of emotion that would be easy to repeat an arm slot that would allow you to command your pitches.
Three and 1. The 3-1. Crawford fouls it back, 3-2.
Sergio Romo is ready. He will pitch the 9th.
Three and 2 with Posey at second and Pill at first. And Crawford pops it into right field. And Krieger put it away. And that'll bring up Abreu.
Abreu's had the big hit of the night. A triple in the first inning, or second inning, knocked in 3. It was his first hit ever in 16 attempts with the bases loaded. And it was a good one.
So Abreu waiting on Marmol, and a swing and a miss, and it's 0-1.
When I talk about the backside collapse of a pitcher, you look at his shoulder and his back leg when they bend and that shoulder dips. It's really hard to get back up on top and get your hand out front. It's the backside of the throwing motion. And I think that at some point he's going to have to keep a higher back shoulder as he gets gathered to make his motion, because that will allow him to control his arm slot a little bit better.
Abreu just got a piece to stay alive. 26 pitches for Marmol here in the 8th. Stays alive. Oh, and 2. Got him. That's what you get out of Marmol. Lots of pitches, lots of walks, lots of strikeouts. Romo coming in. Six-4 Giants, top of the 9th.
New pitcher now for the Giants will be the closer, Sergio Romo, coming in to try and nail it down for his 37th save. 4-8 on the year with a 2.67 ERA. This is a save opportunity. Going to try and save it for Barry Zito.
Dee Gordon is the pinch hitter. Down low, 1 ball and no strikes.
Nick Newman really cheating in on the grass at third base. trying to take away the bunt from Gordon. He can flat out fly, folks.
Yeah, everybody's cheating in. There's a strike to even the count. Schumacher to follow. 1-2. Gordon showed bunt.
Nice little backdoor slider there to get strike 2.
Popped him up. Posey says I got it, and he does. 1 out here in the 9th. Gordon retired, and here's Schumacher.
That's a big out. You take his speed, send it back to the bench. The catcher will always come back in. He'll turn around. He'll face the stands, and that ball will come back to him. And Gordon takes the walk back to the dugout.
Schumacher is 0 for 3. And a strike, and it's 0-1. Adrian Gonzalez has grabbed a bat. He's on deck. Foul to the backstop. 1-2.
Posey wants a fastball in.
2-2. That's what he got.
Well, I think he had visions of throwing a front door sinker. That one he pulled a little bit too far inside, almost drilled Schumacher. You don't want to hit Schumacher and set the table for the guy on deck, Adrian Gonzalez.
That's true. Hit on the ground to Abreu. 2 outs in the 9th.
And this is how you want to face Adrian Gonzalez. 2-run lead, 2 outs, nobody on.
Gonzalez 1 for 6 lifetime.
Changeup.
That's kind of changed his career, hasn't it?
No question. Remember when he first came up, he was a 2-pitch guy. Fastball, big, no-doubt slider, go get him. But he was having problems with getting lefties out. And they taught him, Mark Gardner, Dave Rigetti, they taught him a 2-seam fastball and a changeup. And here he is closing games. But what he's always had when we first saw him was impeccable command. If you look at his track record through the minor days, he's always had the ability to put the ball in the strike zone.
And guts.
And guts.
Not that time, says Gonzalez. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. Giants trying to win win number 73. Hammered to right, deep. off the bottom of the bricks. Gonzalez has got a double. And now Hanley Ramirez is going to hit. Remember, Ramirez hit a big home run off of Romo earlier in the year. He's 3 for 11 with 2 home runs against Romo.
Monster year when you consider he's played about a half a year.
One ball and no strikes.
Yasiel Puig on deck. So he evens the count with a slider. It looked like he was going to see a couple pitches and maybe even take a strike, but not anymore. Sweeps him wide with another slider, and Ramirez can't hold up.
Well, he's not trying to hit a single.
Trying to hit one over the Yahoo sign in left center.
So Posey goes out.
He's looking at you, Smooth.
Stare down. 1-2.
Great 1-2 pitch, just a little bit outside this time. Ramirez lays off. Good pitch, good take. Again, he goes wide. And the more that Ramirez has seen, the easier it has been for him to take.
Yeah, we have enough to go right in with a fastball. We'll see what Buster Posey sets up. Hit on the ground towards the hole. Noonan's got it. He gets up, he throws, and that's the ball game. Nice play by Nick Noonan, and that man gets a win. Barry Zito. And he is the first out of the dugout, and I don't blame him.
Well, he pitched beautifully tonight. He wanted it bad. I know he was upset coming out of the game, but I think Bruce Bochy and this bullpen, they did a remarkable thing. They closed it out for him, and Barry Zito walks off this field tonight a winner.
Final score here at AT&T Park, it's the Giants 6 and the Dodgers 4. East Sheeran's Giants postgame live with interviews, and the wrap is coming up. But first, let's go to the Sportsnet Central studio for an update.